if you tell me a little bit about how you started Rockcorps.
So Rockcorps was started by 6 friends of mine and I'm one of 7. And the idea was to use music to connect people. It wasn't too long after the terrorist attacks last decade in New York and Washington, D.C., where we thought, our president at the time, George Bush, W. Bush, said, everyone just go back to life as normal, go shopping, and we thought that was a real missed opportunity. Everybody wanted to do something. And for us, that was something was around music. And we came to this idea about actually not selling the tickets, but giving them to people who did volunteering. And we thought, wow, what if we organized a number of community projects, and the only way you could come to our concert is if you did 4 hours of volunteer work. So that was the initial idea. We just had to figure out how to do it. That was the only problem.
How did you figure out how to do it?
Well, piece by piece, we figured out that, first of all, we needed to partner with local nonprofits and local charities. It wasn't for us to decide. We did our first concert in New York, so it wasn't for us to decide, what do these communities in the 5 boroughs of New York need. We went to the experts in community-based stuff in the Bronx and Brooklyn and Staten Island, Manhattan and Queens, and so partnered with great local charities. But then we ran the projects for them, bring all the logistics and the staff and the supplies and do all the health and safety. And we also run a big recruitment campaign to get people to sign up to do the volunteering. So we have to have a very interesting artist, and we have to promote it like any music promoter would, and try and get people to come do 4 hours of volunteer work instead of paying money.
So when you first started, did you have an idea that you would take the project around the world?
The first concert we did in New York, we weren't even sure if it was going to work. We had done around 75 different community projects around the New York City area, given out 5,000 tickets, booked a bunch of artists, mostly a hip-hop and R&B show, rented out Radio City Music Hall, which is this big venue in the middle of Times Square, and we weren't sure if people would actually turn up and come. They said they would. The first part was really scary because at around 7 o'clock, or 7:30 maybe, which was supposed to be the start time, there were maybe 200 people in this theater that seats 5,000. We then, I got called to an emergency meeting on stage right that had the venue manager and then the director from MTV. We talked MTV into filming it. The MTV guy was really freaking out. He's like, we're ruined, this looks terrible on TV. And the venue manager from Radio City was like, I told you that no one comes to free concerts. And I was like, I said, it's not really free, people did volunteer. Forget it, I can't explain it right now. And I said, well, let's just hold it for 30 more minutes and see if the crowd comes in. If we're gonna fail, let's fail big. The venue manager said, look, when you go overtime here, which I already knew, every minute over past 11, which is the curfew, you have to pay $1,500. There's a guy from the union whose only job is to sit by a big clock on the wall and keep track of the time right off the stage. And I said, I don't care, let's hold it for 30 more minutes, which I don't know what that is, like 45, it's a lot of money. I looked over at this union guy and he looked back at me and we just went like that, I was like, oh, we're finished. So a half hour later, there was only 500 people in there and it looked really empty, but we couldn't wait anymore. So we said, just start. And I thought the whole idea of the project was finished before it even started, except the first artist that night was an MC from Houston named Paul Wall, great guy. But Paul's probably most remembered for a track he had called Drive Slow, which featured Kanye West. Now this is 2005, and Kanye West had the biggest song in the world, Gold Digger. Kanye happened to be in New York that night, so on the second track, when Paul did Drive Slow, out comes Kanye to everybody's surprise, guesting on the track. And then he did Gold Digger. And I don't know where the audience came from, if they were all at the bar or the toilet, but wham, all of a sudden that place was entirely filled and it just went off. So at the beginning, no, I don't think we had any idea we'd take it all around the world. We were just so worried about making that first one work. And we survived that and then moved to Atlanta, Los Angeles, and about 10 other US cities. But pretty quickly we said, this isn't just an American thing. Let's see if we can make a go of it around the world, and that's what brought me to London for the first.
Is this your first business?
My background was kind of mixed. So after I got out of uni, I went straight on the road. It was only supposed to last for a summer with a rock and roll band, and I ended up staying on tour for 3 years. And then I knew that I needed to do something a little bit more socially oriented. I always have done so in some capacity. So I went to work for a nonprofit just to get some experience and get something on my CV other than tour with a rock band. And I ended up doing that for almost 9 years. And then I got a little bit disenfranchised with not the work we were doing at this charity. It was amazing work, and I'm on the board of it now, a big believer in the mission. But just the nonprofit business model in general, I wanted to do something that worked more on sort of a market, sort of free market basis, but still solve social problems. I can say that now, I mean, it's obvious looking back, but at the time there was just something about the fundraising nonprofit model that just didn't seem right for me in terms of scale and hitting societal issues. So I went to graduate school, got my business degree in MBA, and went all the way away from nonprofit, went into venture capital. And that's probably the pendulum swinging too far to the other side. I loved it. For the first time, I was making a couple bucks, and then these guys who had this idea, wasn't called Rockcorps then, for this thing. They were starting to think about what to do to respond to sort of the need, and they asked me at first just to come in and help write their business plan and raise their first bit of money to get the thing going. And I just felt the combination of the whole structure of Rockcorps was so sweet, from the artists to the community, the charities, the young people, and our sponsors. Like, everybody gets something out of it. There's no loser in this cycle. And eventually I said, I really want to leave my business and join yours. And they said, sure, you can be the CEO. No interview. So it was a long journey, but once I got to Rockcorps, I felt like this was what I was meant to do. Like, all these different experiences I had with music early on, with nonprofit, working in finance for a short time, they all sort of, with this weird sort of training to get to the job that I love.
What do you think people need in order to set up a business?
There are various different types of entrepreneurs, but I find that those of us who set up businesses share some characteristics. And one is a real undying belief in whatever that business is. If you go into it strictly to make money, you probably won't be successful. You have to have a passion. I often say that 10 things will happen to you as a new entrepreneur. 9 will be bad, right? And the 10th will be really good. And we're just a little bit crazy entrepreneurs that we focus so much on the 10th and ignore the other 9. And you have to have sort of that really passionate belief in what it is that you're doing. So that's very common. You also have to have people who believe in you. That's critical. Self-belief is key, but you have to surround yourself with positive people. People who believe that you can see something there that doesn't currently exist. There are plenty of people that tell you that things won't work. We can find that everywhere, but you really have to be surrounded with a support structure that believe in you. I think those are probably 2 critical things.
I'm so interested in what you're saying about self-belief and having the support system around you. How do you think you find the support system if it's not there? Where do you think they should go to find it?
It's a very big question about where to find the support system when you're starting up your own gigs, because there's no quick, easy answer. So first of all, when I talk about support, I often don't necessarily mean experts. I mean just friends, mates, peers, people who believe in you. And I really, really believe that you need to surround yourself with positive energy. Take an inventory of who you're hanging out with, because that's who you are. I think that's step 1, is just to surround yourself with a self-reinforcing group that believe in you and your ability to reach your dreams. In terms of sort of finding experts, I mean, thank goodness we have people like Kid Talks that helps around sort of young, aspiring business people and artists with experts. But there are some fantastic platforms out there that do it. I think that anything that involves doing something new is a contact sport. It's not something that can be done on social media or through email or a website or your mobile phone. You've got to be out there talking to people, and you'll talk to 100 people, will find you one that'll really sort of fit what you're trying to do. But doing this kind of stuff is a contact sport. You've got to be out there.
If there is something that you wish you would have known maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, what would that one thing be?
I think I can answer what I wish that I would have known, but really there's no way of knowing that. In fact, as I sit here talking today, I'm quite sure I'm going to look back 10 years and say, oh, I wish I'd known that then. It's just the nature of life experience. I think where I and Rockcorps have probably gotten better over the years we've been doing it is we move on quicker. We sort of know when something's not happening or not working, where in the early days you're so excited and you want to make your concept work, you'll hit your head against a certain wall for longer than you should. So we may miss some opportunities now by saying no quickly, but it's very important. We're even though we're a global company, we're a small company, and we only have so much bandwidth, and we need to put it where, I often say, pour the gasoline where the fire is burning. So I think we've gotten better at saying no more quickly. So choosing your partners wisely. If you're getting negative vibes around people you're working with or your partners, get away from that. It won't help you. And so I think you're just constantly doing an inventory where, are these the right meetings I should be having? Is this the right connection I should be doing? Is this the right area? Do the world want what we're trying to do? If the answer is no to those things, you don't have to stop all of a sudden. But again, just like your support system, you do a little less of that and a little more of something else. So that's the process of getting more efficient at that probably. And that's probably the thing that we've learned to do a little bit better, is to recognize what's feeding us more quickly and saving a bit of time.
Why should people get into volunteering?
There are a couple of really critical reasons why. One, it's just fun. When you are in the service of somebody else, you really find out who you are, and that's an incredibly fun thing to be involved with. So I would always lead with that. You meet a great group of passionate people. It's sort of the anti going to the pub, it's sort of the anti posting on social media. It is about getting together with a like-minded group and doing something for other people. So you meet incredible people who share your values. You get skills it's a great place to start out to learn about different fields. A lot of employers these days are really looking at what you've done volunteer-wise. If you have 2 CVs and they're roughly equal in sort of what you're looking for, education and background, the person who's going to dedicate themselves to the community is going to rise to the top always. So those are the 3 basic tenets, which is get skills, meet friends, and make a difference. Have fun. Now with Rockcorps, you also get a concert ticket, so that's a pretty good deal. But volunteering is just a great way to be connected to the place you live and sort of get out, get from behind the phone or the computer screen and interact with other people.